And what I needed to figure out was how to deal with the drain on my battery, this anxiety. And what I learned and begin to practice is what I'm going to show you today. And the good news is it's not complicated. It's accessible to all of us. You can begin to do this right away. It will take some time, and it will absolutely take thoughtfulness, but I'm going to show you, and this is what I love the most, what I'm going to show you today, the most recent medical data shows that the spiritual approach to dealing with anxiety is every bit as effective as antidepressants, but without any side effects. Now, disclaimer, I'm a pastor. I'm going to show you the spiritual approach. And we are not going to be simplistic. I don't want to be a reductionist and say, just do the spiritual thing and pray and all your anxiety will go away. Get off your medication. Stop seeing your therapist. No. I don't want you to change a thing in your life. Don't change your medication if you're on medication. Don't stop seeing your counselor if you see a counselor. I'm going to add a tool to your belt today on how to take a spiritual approach to dealing with anxiety, because Jesus taught it is absolutely something you can push back on. Here's what Jesus said in John chapter 14. He said, "Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." Now, we understand fear. That makes sense. When he says, but don't let your hearts be troubled, that's talking about anxiety. He said there's fears, don't let yourself be afraid, but there's also a troubled heart. But what he said is fascinating. What did he say? Do not let your hearts be troubled. You're like, Jesus, you don't understand. You don't understand my boss. You don't understand my family. You don't understand what I'm going through. Okay, Jesus said, no. You let anxiety live in your heart. Yes, it's just triggered. That's part of how I made you, but you're the one who lets it live there, and you can push it out of your house. You say, well, how would we do that? I'm going to show you 4 verses that paint the picture for us. First one is from Jesus in Matthew chapter 11. He said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, all of you whose reserves are depleted, all of you who have a drained battery." He says, "Come to me if you're weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. I will replenish your soul. I will refuel your inner life." Again, the diesel car goes to the diesel pump. Humans have to go to God to replenish our reserves. So he begins with an open invitation. And if you're running on surplus, if you don't have any deficit in your reserves, awesome, then you're doing great. You keep up whatever you're doing. But Jesus says, if you're weary, if you're burdened, I want you to come to me. And we say, well, what do we do then? I'm in church. What do I do with that? Here's what we do. Peter, the disciple, told us what to do when we come to Jesus when we're burdened. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. Now, I need your help. I need you to say the word highlighted in yellow. If you're watching at home, say it out loud. If you're in the room, say this out loud with me, if you will, please. Peter said, cast your anxiety. Cast your anxiety. Which anxiety are you to cast onto Jesus? Okay, here's what we do. We look at our anxiety and we think to ourselves, well, this one's trivial. I'll just carry it. And this one's dumb. I know I shouldn't be stressed out about this, so I'll just carry that one too. And this one's, it's kind of stupid and it's kind of childish. I shouldn't be stressed out and anxious about that, so I'm not going to give that one to Jesus. I'm just going to carry that one as well. And what happens is we're just turning lights on all over the place and our batteries are getting drained. Peter says, no. Whatever is making you anxious, if it triggers anxiety, any of it, cast all of it onto Jesus. Why? He cares about you. He didn't simply die on a cross so you can go to heaven someday when you die. Right now, he intended for you to flourish in your inner life. So you take whatever's making you anxious and you cast it onto him, and he absolutely wants to carry all of it, even the stupid, even the trivial, even the stuff that's your fault. He says, bring it all to me. I'm the one who wants to carry that. Now, Peter did not come up with this idea by himself. Of all the New Testament authors, he quotes the Hebrew Scriptures, the Old Testament, all over the place. He got this idea from Psalm chapter 55, which says, "Cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you." He doesn't want you to carry that burden by yourself. He says, I want to sustain you. I want to carry you. I want to refuel and recharge your battery. Okay, so time to get practical. How do we take this idea? Jesus' invitation, come to me if you're weary, I'll give you rest. Peter's command, which he just found in the Psalms from David, cast all your anxiety, cast all your worries, cast all your cares on him. How do we do that? To find the answer, we're going to look at our last verse today from Psalm 139. You ready? David prayed a prayer. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. This language is the language of mindfulness. This language is the language of meditation. Meditation, Christian meditation, is thinking deeply in the presence of God. And David invites God, God, my inner life is an open book to you. I want you to search me, and I want you to know my heart. See, Jesus is the one who told us, do not let your hearts be troubled. Okay, search my heart, Lord. It's an open book to you. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. If there's anything in my head that is anxious, God, I want you to see it and I want you to reveal it to me. This is the language of thoughtful, mindful meditation. God, in your presence, I am opening my mind and my heart to you to say, search me, reveal, and show me anxiety so that I can take it and cast it onto you. I can release it to you. Now, this summer, that's what I began to do. I began the practice of mindfully, in meditation, releasing my anxiety and cares to Jesus. Now, here's what's really cool. I didn't know this at the time. I'm just like, Scripture says that I'm going to do it. I need to deal with this anxiety that I've been carrying beneath the surface. 2 months ago, the results of a medical clinical study were released in the Journal of the American Medical Association. You can read this report online, everything they did with the study. And what the study showed was that when they treated adults with anxiety disorders, and they had 2 control groups. One got medication, one practiced meditation. The group that practiced meditation had results that were equal to the group that was on medication. Here's what the results said. In this randomized clinical trial of 276 adults with anxiety disorders, 8-week treatment with mindfulness-based stress reduction. Now, this isn't even Christian. This is just general. Let's be mindful. Let's be aware of our thoughts and what's in our hearts. 8-week treatment with mindfulness-based stress reduction was non-inferior to escitalopram. I always mess that up. Escitalopram. Escitalopram is the generic version of Lexapro, a very commonly prescribed anti-anxiety medication. And what we're learning is that mindful meditation is equal in effectiveness to one of the most commonly prescribed anti-anxiety medications. And 2,000 years ago, Peter said, cast your anxiety on God because he cares for you. And 3,000 years ago, David said, cast all your anxiety on the Lord, and he will sustain you. And Jesus himself, the night that he was betrayed, went to his Father in heaven, and he said, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. And he went to his Father in heaven for strengthening. So that's what I began to do. And I'll tell you about my experience of it, because I hope it's encouraging for you. 3 to 4 times a day I did this at first, because I worked through it with my counselor. I'm like, let's put the plan together. Let's figure this out. And I would pray, search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. And at first, it was the loud anxieties clamoring for attention. Now, in your life, you already know what the loud ones are, don't you? They're shouting at you all the time. For me, it was the burden of feeling responsible for the well-being of an entire church full of people, a growing church. It was, the stuff we all deal with family concerns and things like that. It was just the loud ones. I said, okay, Jesus, I release this to you. I'm carrying this anxiety. I'm casting it on to you. I'm giving it to you. Jesus, I'm giving everyone and everything to you. All my anxious thoughts, everything in the news, everything that's going on, I just release it to you, Jesus. And here's what happened. Over the next couple of weeks, I experienced something. Those anxieties that just 1 week into sabbatical had a grip on my inner life, I noticed at first they began to loosen, and then they broke free, and then eventually, after persisting with this habit, they dissipated. They started to float away. Except they weren't floating away. The Lord was carrying them to sustain me. And so I kept at it. After those ones were gone, I'm not really feeling anxious about any of those things anymore. Then I found there is another level beneath that and another level beneath that. They're the quieter anxieties. They're there, but they're just getting drowned out by the loud ones. Of course, these were much more personal in nature, where I have personal sin or idolatry starts to surface. Idolatry is when you love anything more than Jesus. You trust anything more than Jesus. Your life has meaning in anything more than Jesus. And when you have idolatry, by the way, when you love or trust or hope in anything more than Jesus, it will inevitably produce anxiety, because it won't love you like Jesus. It won't forgive you like Jesus. It won't carry you like Jesus. So when those began to surface, I began to release those as well. Jesus, I release this. I give this to you. And it's fascinating. When I read that study I just referenced, because it was released in November, it was about 8 weeks into this practice that my soul, for the first time in a long time, came to a place of stillness. I mean, last week we looked at how Jesus calmed the storm, and when he did, we saw that the water just instantly became calm like glass. That's what was happening in my soul. The God who quieted the storm is the God who began to quiet the anxiety in my own heart, and everything became calm and still. And that's when I noticed things that were getting poured into my inner life, they began to stay. And the tanks began to refuel, and I began feeling joyful and excited and optimistic. It was 2 months into my sabbatical. I could finally start thinking about coming back to be Hope's pastor and be excited about what's coming up, because before I left, just so you guys know, we planned the next season, and the next season at Hope, it's exciting. We're going to start talking about it in February. Don't miss a single Sunday of February, because we're going to talk about what's next and how we're all going to be part of it. And I'm just geeked for it, but I wasn't ready for that emotionally or spiritually or mentally until I patched up the holes in my soul. So today I'm going to give you an exercise. And I'm going to plead with you to begin to practice this, because the next 2 weeks we're going to stack 2 more habits on this. It's going to be like a Lego tower, but this is the base. And I am asking you at least twice a day to find a quiet place. Maybe you want to light a candle. Maybe you want to put on what you find is relaxing music, something that'll help you focus and think and meditate and be mindful, where you can pray, search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and reveal any anxious thoughts. And I want to just walk you through that right now. So we're going to close my time on the stage with just a moment of meditation. So I'm going to ask you to, if whatever helps you focus. If you close your eyes, I'd encourage you to close your eyes, look down. If staring at me helps you focus, fine. Stare at me, I don't care. But this is about you being still in the presence of God to cast your anxiety on him. So let's close our eyes and and begin. Take some deep breaths. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Jesus, I give everyone and everything to you. Everyone and everything. What do you need to let go of? Jesus, I give you all my anxiety, all the news, all the stress, and I release them to you. I cast them on you, and I ask that you will sustain me. And I pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Well, hello everyone. My name is James and I'm Hope's Digital Media Director, and we just wanted to say thank you for checking out that last video. If that content was helpful for your life, please let us know by hitting the like button, and be sure to subscribe to our channel. That way you get notified every time we post new content and when we go live. We do have a live stream service every Sunday morning at 9:25 a.m. Central right here on YouTube. We have a growing online community and we would love for you to come and be a part of it. And if you have any more questions about us here at Hope Church, be sure to check out the links down below.